At the beginning of 2020, COVID-19 wreaked havoc, sending the whole world into a lockdown. The global economy slowly shut down, with businesses closing operations. These economic challenges did not spare the media industry, and at the time when the public needed information, journalists were either laid off or they were working in very hard conditions. The newspaper industry itself faced an almost sudden inhalation due to lockdown and social distancing as revenues went lower. The economic stress aside, an already struggling media landscape was also hit by a second virus accompanying COVID-19, the infodemic, which manifested itself in form of fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. And as an organization that is very passionate about keeping journalism alive, we went out to document the impact of COVID-19 to the media industry in Uganda. This very video you're watching is part of a 12-part series featuring media managers answering some of the questions that you'll be watching. Enjoy.
School. So I find it interesting that people think that you have to wait to finish school before you can be a journalist. I mean, I studied journalism in school, but I realized in my very first semester that the work I'm going to do as a journalist, the important part of my work is the work I do outside. I mean, school is important, you know, and I'm passing highly, but you can't sit in class and learn about, there are things you can never learn in class. You can't learn how exhausting going to the field. You can't learn how to carry a huge camera on your shoulder and trek 15 miles. You can't learn how to be empathetic in the class. You can study it in theory, but when you see it in practice, it's much more, it's fixed in your brain.
We really need to make sure we are safe all the time. So safety should come first. For money, before anything, it should be about safety. Comply with the guidelines and avoid situations that can put you in danger of contracting the virus, because you never know, you can survive or you can die. So to me, it's the biggest lesson.
You as an individual, what are you passionate about? Yeah? What are you passionate about? You have to, to answer that question, maybe you should ask people around you what really gives you joy, what makes you happy. But you also have to have, apart from passion, yeah? You also have to have that ability to tell stories, to be, media is very tricky. It's not something you just wake up and say, okay, I'm going to do this. If you feel like that's your calling, if you feel like that's your purpose, if you feel like you're going to add value to the whole media, if you're going to add value to journalism, whatever story you're going to tell, if you're going to add value, if you're going to add meaning, if you're going to help someone, then you know you can do it. But what I can tell you is that just step out there and try to do it. There's a lot of role models. There's a lot of people who are already there doing what you want to do. So you can talk to them, get role models. Me, that's how I started. I actually talked to the person that I really looked up to, and then they gave me like a footing, how to start. They helped me out. So like talk to people who are already doing that, and then, I mean, you'll be on the right path.
I would welcome them, of course. But you know, one, you have to, you know, a journalist, you're a voice of the voiceless, you know. There's some things that you have to leave aside. Now, for example, me, I'm known by very many people. So there are some habits that you have to let go. There are some friends that you have to let go. Some places, you know, some things that, you know, make people, you know, as a journalist, you have to let go some behaviors, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you move, like, because very many people, they listen from you and what you talk. Very many people believe in you and all that. But it is just like any other job, only that we have temptations, you know. You might be going to cover a story, someone say, hey, let me give you this 1 million and you leave this. And yet you have to run the story, you know. So you have to, I don't know, maybe you have to be God-fearing before you can manage the temptations and, but it is just like any other job. I love it, it is interesting.
At the beginning of 2020, COVID-19 wreaked havoc, sending the whole world into a lockdown. The global economy slowly shut down, with businesses closing operations. These economic challenges did not spare the media industry. And at the time when the public needed information, journalists were either laid off or they are working in very hard conditions. The newspaper industry itself faced an almost sudden inhalation due to lockdown and social distancing as revenues went lower. The economic stress aside, an already struggling media landscape was also hit by a second virus accompanying COVID-19, the infodemic, which manifested itself in form of fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. And as an organization that is very passionate about keeping journalism alive, we went out to document the impact of COVID-19 to the media industry in Uganda. This very video you're watching is part of a 12-part series featuring media managers answering some of the questions that you'll be watching.